Zeke Black is in the building. Zeke Black is in the building. Thank y'all for checking out my content 2 days ago about AZ and his issue with Dame Dash making Paid in Full Part 2. He was ranting and raving, and then he jumps in my live and we have some words. So in the mix of these words, we brought up certain dates and paperwork came out dealing with the Alpo Martinez organization in DC, and I think that I am going to do a shows based off of that now. So I can educate you guys on what was going on since 1989. It starts in the paperwork until the man got locked up. It's not so much about Alpo. It's about things that he said in the paperwork. It's the actual murders that he told on, dealing with Wayne Perry, Michael Jackson, and so on and so on. Little Gary. Little Gary was the topic of our conversation, and the little parts of Little Gary that came up was, did he kill Rich Porter? Well, according to the federal indictment, no. He's not a part of the bodies. He's not a part of the organization. And according to Alpo, the reason for Rich Porter's death was because he was stealing from him. In the world of the feds, that would mean that Rich Porter, rest in peace, died in the commission of crime for the benefit of the gang. Boom. So, of course, you don't leave that out. So the feds didn't pick it up. That means that when Alpo told, most likely, the authorities that the good people in New York State would have had to pick that body up. And even though little Gary is deceased, they have to close the case. And to close the case, they're going to have a paper saying that the suspect accused of killing such and such is deceased, but this is what we have. So that paperwork you may be able to follow that in New York State, because that would mean that little Gary has a homicide in Manhattan. No, the Bronx, not the Bronx County. So we're going to touch on the paperwork. Rich Porter's name is not in it. AZ's name is not in it. Kevin Chow's name is not in it. But Michael Stewart out of New York name is in the paperwork. Allegedly, he sold some guns at Demencio. Demencio name is in it. And those are the only New York characters' names that's in Wayne Perry's actual paperwork, the actual indictment. You know what I'm saying? Feed the wolves. So we're going to be touching on this definitely this weekend. The Martinez, we're going to go step to step, crime to crime. And there's a lot of mentions of Little Gary and the crimes that he committed and the reason why Little Gary died. In the words of this man to the federal government. Now, to let it be known to the people, to the party people, is that one thing about this world is with information. In the world of information, we have to do our due diligence, right? So we know that there's an issue between Kevin Childs, you thought about Alpo, there's a situation with Kevin Childs and AZ. We know that it all boils down to the mutual friend called Chuck Bourne. Chuck Bourne is from, I guess, Mount Vernon. A money nigga. He knows all the industry cats, and he was around basically for the first generation of Uptown Records before they took it to the moon. He was around when Teddy Riley was recording at the studio at the rooftop, and then when Teddy Riley was dealing with Gene Griffin, which those are the stories that he's telling you now. Teddy Riley in his humbling beginnings when he alleged that Gene Griffin was trying to extort him. Check out Vlad interviews on those. That was the Circle of Trust. You know, D. Ferg, he made the logo for Uptown Records. So that was the circle. It was an uptown thing, as in Harlem Uptown to Mount Vernon Uptown. There's a lot of parties involved, a lot of people in the background that helped really blow up Uptown Records. Uptown Records is Andre Harrell, you know, Took It to the Top, Jeff Redd, Father MC, who else? There's a host of others. You know, it's definitely a host of other artists. Great things came from that. Now, get into the nitty gritty and get into the dirt in the crevices of these dirty blocks, these dirty corners. I would like to touch on the fact that me and AZ having this conversation on the live, because I'm gonna do a StreamYard tomorrow. It starts tomorrow. The Martinez organization is gonna be spoken about, not based off of the stories that I'm gonna be reading that he actually told. Wayne Perry's case is not a wiretap case. It's the words that Alpo put out in the universe to the federal government. It's not a wiretap case. It's when he sat down, he got specific dates, and it's well versed. So we're putting that information out to the streets. The streets are now going to know what Wayne Perry's really in jail for. And it's not like 17 bodies. That's the funny part about it. You know what I'm saying? It's not 17 bodies on it. It's a bunch of bodies, but it doesn't count to be 17. He mentioned the kidnappings. He mentioned the projects, the housing complex. He mentions the little Gary situation. All this to the feds. This is the part of the indictment. This is the indictment paper. He was purchasing guns in Ohio. It just wasn't a New York thing. Alpo was doing a lot of things. And one thing is that it's not about Alpo, it's about what was going on in D.C. The D.C. days, Mayor Barry, he was smoking krills. The era of D.C. was a $1 trillion industry. A lot of known captures going to D.C., getting a lot of money. So we're going into that generation. So it's going to be more of a storytelling more than a bashing moment of Alpo. It's just based off of the Martinez organization. So it's going to be loosely breaking down the stories from the indictment. See, a lot of y'all people can't get Alpo's paperwork. But nobody took the time to get Wayne Perry's paperwork. But thank you to Crown TV who got Wayne Perry's paperwork. And he sent it to me ASAP Rocky. Years ago. Off of Pages.com. I sent it out to a couple of good people. I want you to look at the dates. And just to touch on something, I had a great conversation with somebody yesterday. And somebody said, Z, you know what's so amazing about this paperwork? It made me think about Darnell. So he went to Google something. And they said, yo, why did they say Darnell got kidnapped on December 5th, but Rich Porter died like December 3rd or December 4th? So the weird part about the weird part about that gap is, that they said that the kidnappers only called one time. Why would Fritz give this man 30 kilos to get his brother back if there was no more corresponding with the kidnappers? So why would Fritz ride around and go, yo, son, I got 30 people, go get your brother back, if nobody knows where Darnell's at? Two, they cut Darnell's fingers off. What local hospitals could they brought Darnell to that the police wasn't searching? These dudes got nervous. The police is involved. You can't take him to the hospital. That's most street cats. Okay, I'm gonna shoot somebody. I'm gonna drive him to the hospital. The guy just shot. Come on, man. These is criminals, man. The criminal minds, man. So with that being said, you're saying that they held Darnell hostage for 20 days and slipped a note under somebody's door. The remix is the remix. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, Darnell Porter. It's just crazy that people benefited off his death legally. And they still with these lies. These lies don't make sense. The 30 bricks gotta make sense somewhere. So you're telling me, because remember, Rich Porter ain't disappeared for 30 days. He died like 25 days later. And again, in this paperwork, in the Martinez organization, there's no mention of him doing no business with those guys. He mentions going to see dudes in New York to re-up, but he's not mentioning those guys. He's mentioning about large purchases from individuals, but he's not saying their names. Now, that's just touching on that. Just means shout out to my man from instrumentality. Shout out to my people from Push That Night in Clubhouse. We're just doing our due diligence. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I sit back and cut. Kevin Charles, he has, honestly speaking, I don't know what Paid in Full Part 2 is about, but I guess it's about Kevin Charles' life story. Well, that might be, you know what I'm saying? Like just to be honest, Paid in Full is just a song that comes from a golden era. I know in people's brains they believe that Alpo and Rich Porter was the most popping crew out because he was in Manhattan. Everybody talked about him. But if you was in Brooklyn, then you would have knew about the Supremes. The Supreme team out of Fort Greene. They were doing some things too, but a lot of them dudes that was going to the rooftop, they wasn't going downtown like that. You know what I'm saying? They were staying away from a lot of Brooklyn cats. You know what I'm saying? Plus, the rooftop had its own world going on, their own situations, their own solutions. They had their own thing. You know, they had a lot of drugs up there, a lot of cocaine use, a lot of freebasing. A lot of things was going on at the rooftop. You know what I'm saying? Plus, dudes was getting money. You know what I'm saying? It was a place you could party. A lot of money cats. Harlem known for money, no matter. Remember, Harlem was just leaving. The dope never left, but a heavy dope rotation. Now you got this new, the dope is still there. Remember, crack was just hitting. Freebasing was just really hitting the streets. Dope is still that thing. You have to be outside to understand this conversation. You wasn't outside, you may not really understand. But it's okay because you're learning something today. Nothing wrong with being outside. You're learning something today. So now back to, you have other crews. Look at what Supreme niggas dudes is doing in Queens. They was at the same spots these dudes was at, making a whole lot more money. Not having to lead the 5 boroughs. So it's just that they always got the light. They always got the light because they was in Manhattan. Manhattan's just Manhattan. Uptown cats stay fly. You know, this other stuff. So shout out to Harlem, man. You know, we can't take that away from Harlem. Harlem cats got money. The prices is cheaper in Manhattan. That's just always been that way. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's just always been that way. Dudes go to Manhattan. Dudes that take B and C felony chances just to get an 8-ball. New Jersey. Rather than buy an 8-ball where they're from. That's giving you a little of the geographics. And not just all of Manhattan was cheap like that. You have to go uptown and find somebody for that low. A lot of these side blocks is charging dudes $50 a half a gram. Do not get it twisted. Do not get it tormented. Do not play the dirty game. Now back to the lab. Charleston White, he at the strip club. He probably was geeked out of his mind, and he shot himself. He seen an op, looked in the mirror, seen an op, and shot himself. He thought the op was in his face. He was coked out of his mind, probably. And shot himself. God, talking shit at the strip club. Like, bitch, get it left there. That's my op. Hold on. And hit himself. He boomed himself. Charleston White has boomed himself. Mr. I want to save the kids. This is what you're doing, saving the kids, shooting yourself in strip clubs? That was what we doing, Charleston White. That's what we do, bro. This one wasn't for fake. You wasn't in costume. Nobody shoot themselves today in costume. You just said some funny, slick, funny money shit about P&B Rock the other day. You almost killed your goddamn self. What was the mailers? I'm not going to say cocaine. I'm not going to say you on drugs, bro. But what I'm going to say is, what's what happened? You seen a reflection in the mirror? You seen an op and hit yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, who goes to the strip club and shoot themselves? You know what I'm saying? What was you doing? You know what I'm saying? Big Rod was popping, but he ain't died yet. He ain't died, man. You know what I'm saying? We're going to feed on you. The wolves is feeding. So Charleston White, he done played himself, shot himself. You know what I'm saying? He in the strip club. What you going to tell to you? Yo, next time you go to the strip club, don't go gripped up. You might shoot yourself. What's wrong with you, bro? Y'all dudes got to stop trying to play this perfect game. You're not perfect. See? What do you see? What is wifey more mad at? You shot yourself or using the strip club getting the lap dance? Shout out to Vlad for posting that information. Shout out to Say Cheese for putting that up. But what is wifey more mad at? Was wifey with you? Mr. This is how the black youth should be. Let's save the youth. That's what I mean. You niggas want to say the youth, they'll do some backwards stuff. They get you caught up and you'll shoot yourself. Back, you know what I'm saying? So we're getting back on our due diligence. The story we're going to be focusing on is the Martinez organization. Very well versed story based on a true story, and it was actually written by, credits go to Albert Martinez. He actually wrote the story. So it's not so much about him telling, because of course, AZ in his head, when you sell anything that's not like hard drugs, it's considered non-violence. When you're non-violent, you should be treated as a felony offender in the drug game. I don't know how, but that's how he looks at it. So we're going to look at it from a position, from the positioning. Now I want to ask all you top-notch bloggers that follow the output thing, can y'all please prove me wrong? And for you, Little Gary's information dealing with New York City, the Bronx County. Do Little Gary have a homicide in Bronx County? I don't want to Google this because y'all made this guy the realest guy. So I don't want to believe that you guys allowed K Sling, rest in peace, and Alpo, rest in peace, to bamboozle a bag to sell a bunch of CDs and create the weirdest narrative in the world. So can y'all please, you bloggers, can y'all please produce the paperwork from the Bronx precinct? I'm gonna give you a location by City Island, wherever precinct covers City Island, and get the paperwork, put it in there for you, and go, I would like to know paperwork on Richard Porter and his homicide. The paperwork on that. And let's see if it's public information, they'll give it to you. No disrespect to the Porter family. But until y'all can reduce that, the Alpo story is a lie, a portion of it. The lie is he didn't kill Rich. You know what I'm saying? He was just the last man with him. That they seen with him on the block. But he dropped Rich off somewhere. Because believe it or not, he probably took Rich to his car. Rich is probably somewhere like, yo, Poe about to come get me and drop me off. Yo, Poe, come get me. Yo, drop me up over here. Rich didn't have a corner store. He didn't have a building. Rich hustled out the car, always on the move. Nobody can tell you an average location where, yo, Rich was right here all day. So, what you think? He could have, he didn't get in his car. Like, Poe, follow me in my car. I'm going to get in your van and y'all going to ride around together. I'm not going into that. Just some things of common sense. He probably drove him to his car, but most likely, I'm not going to say probably. Poe, unless you show me that little guy, get the paper for you. Get the for you. You got an axe pad. You ain't even got an axe pad. It's for you. It's a precinct thing. Most of you niggas got cousins as cops. Wow, how can I find out, get somebody's DBA to find out about a case being, it might be closed, but who got charged with that crime? That's public information. That's public information. That's what he's saying. That's the picture he painted. His words. See, Don Paul, that's his words. That's what he said. But that's not what the criminal judge, but that's not what the paperwork is saying. He said he told him. This is what he said. He said, that's what he said. There's no paperwork to that. When the man said that he told on that body. This is what Alpo said I was about, Don. I told on that body. That's what he said, brother. There's no paperwork co-signing that. You know what I'm saying? I gotta read it. Now it's in Wayne Perry's paper. I'm gonna read it. Told you I'm doing the documentary. There's nothing stating it. That's why I'm saying I'm reading the paperwork. I'm gonna get this. It's like 20 pages. I'm gonna read through it. It's gonna be like a 3-part series. It's basically an Alpo organization. It's not gonna be an Alpo slander campaign. So you're gonna be focused on the content and not the slander. You know what I'm saying? But yo, Don, there's no paperwork saying that. There's nothing that's showing that he killed him. Not on a federal level. Now he claims that part of his plea bargain was when he told on him in that indictment that Rich Porter was a part of that. That's what he said, and he got immunity for that, for those bodies, all that, all in one shot. In the paperwork, in Wayne Perry's paperwork, there's no mention of Rich Porter. There's none at all. There's none at all. There's none at all. There's no mention of Rich Porter. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's no mention of Rich Porter. There's none at all. There's nothing there. There's no mention of Rich. From the timeline, too, from December 26, 1989 to, it starts again to 1991 May, it stays blank and it resumes back to his murder spree. So he must have got low for a couple of months because of the situation that happened in D.C. when he bodied a nigga on December 24th or some shit like that. The guy died on the 26th. Then the murder rate kicked up again in May. It was blanking. It was no Rich Porter. He was in New York catching bodies. It was none of that. So, but it did make a mention to him coming to New York, buying some guns. Definitely. That's why I'm doing the paperwork, to be well versed. So they have to prove us wrong, Don. They're going to have to produce a paper that comes from New York State. New York State, because homicide is on the state level. You kill that's a felony. So when you even with the deceased, I need the paperwork on who assassinated the man. Even though he's deceased, although the guy's deceased, but this guy was charged because of information we got. This is the man that allegedly assassinated this man. That's a for you. If the police department don't give it to you, they don't give it to you. But you guys, you super bloggers, do it. Go for it. Get the information. Until then, Little Gary did not kill Rich Porter. Alpo, you did not kill him. You're just the last guy with him. I don't know who money's, and I'm gonna say this until they prove me wrong. I don't know who money scheme that was, because you know AZ ain't checking. He's too fucking paranoid. You know Pat ain't checking. They don't know. They take away from the law. You know that. You know Velma, she just want that shit to go away. Rest in peace to my sons. But you, nigga, you bloggers, I got the money to do it. Please prove me wrong. Until then, I'm going to say, Rich got a ride from Alpo. Alpo dropped him off. And then, whatever happened after that with Rich, he passed away. You made that man rest in peace. But you niggas with clout is dirty. That's some real clout-chasing shit, bro. Because nobody else cared about all the other shit Poe was talking about. So he said to some of us that he killed Rich Porter. Y'all niggas keep that in the back of your dirty dictionaries, man. Your dirty dictionary. Now, Paul was getting crazy on the east side, but it's funny. Nobody never put his name to a body on the east side. His thing was going off, though, but nobody never really brought his name up. Like, to the homicides, they always say his man. You know what I'm saying? Freem. I'm not going to say his name, but I'm just going to say Love in the background. With Poe was more or less, they were sticking up dudes. He was more known as a stick-up kid. But the crew he ran around, they was into that type of game. But his name attached, actually that name that came to that attachment was more so West Side shit. Yo, he did that to such and such. Yo, I heard that happened over here to such and such. Yo, boom. It was more so his name was getting caught on a lot of West Side stuff, which would make sense because he was making, according to AZ, 80,000 a week or a day. You know what I'm saying? So the 80,000 a week, I'm gonna lose my mind too. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there's a lot of recordings. But please, somebody just prove it wrong. Boom, just prove it wrong. Yo, Zeke Black, look. Little Gary, we got the paperwork. We got a paper saying that the case is closed, and because the guy who allegedly killed Rich Porter, his name is Little Gary, and boom. Because now I'm trying to figure out how the hell did Alpo get away from murder one was just straight immunity, even though he gave us 17 bodies, but the state just said, all right, we're going to let this go, even though you're telling us how this happened, what van, DNA, how this went down. Like I said, I'm not just in an outpost store. This ain't a post store. But I got the paperwork, and a couple of people got the paperwork, and they're looking at it with you know what I'm saying? Like I told you, Randy was a little more, you know what I'm saying? Billie Jean, Randy was more known for that. He was just known for being with the nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you know how that shit go? That's your crew. He ran, but Son was more so known for that. That's why Son is sitting where he's sitting at now, in that penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? If the other one was doing just as much as Randy Love, then there would have never been a DC Poe. Because Randy Love kept getting caught for those bodies. You know what I'm saying? He beat, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them bodies he was beating, coming back. Randy Love was getting caught for a lot of those bodies. He never got snatched for a homicide. That we know of. You know what I'm saying? So it was sort of different, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like Randy Love was known for that. You know what I'm saying? But you know, he telling him this. Yeah, it means Randy smoked the nigga, I was with the nigga. You know how he articulated to this nigga, you know what I'm saying? Because remember, on the east side, Randy Love is guarded, not him. You know what I'm saying? Randy Love is guard over there on First Ave. I know some of the dudes he was around, like, you know, Papa Guy and them. I know the OG. I remember I was young when he was on my way, you know, Papa Guy and all of them. You know what I'm saying? See Small World in the book, Franklin Plaza. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Small fucking world, man. Shout out to Washington Projects, everything on that side, man. That's why I say it's not about you got a name drop. You just got to give people the description of what the fuck we talking about, man. Like I said, on my side, he was more just known for being around a bunch of goon and killer, but he was moving with them. I won't be surprised, but he per se, nobody ever said Poe killed Jack. You know what I'm saying? There was never a conversation like that. Yo, Poe, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, because you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I said. Whatever he did with Randy. Whatever he did, it's Randy. Randy got the accolades. Just like them other young niggas that tried to run on the Randy. You know what I'm saying? Randy got all the accolades. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, but nobody, believe it, the Spanish guy who got clipped, they gave Randy the accolades. Yeah, such and such. Yeah, yo, Randy, that shit was crazy that happened the other night. Randy was getting the points for that. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody ever heard, like you know what I'm saying? See, he said something to Troy that Randy got the accolades for. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he didn't do it. It's just that on our side, it was just like, yo, he ran with Randy Love. Randy Love's a killer. So anybody that runs with a killer, you know what I'm saying? You know? But in the world of the West Side, he was a terrorist. You know what I'm saying? Randy Love wasn't nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when it comes to these conversations, right? He's telling you the story, but boom, yeah, Randy Love, how he put this pain in. Now, Randy Love he was a goon with a couple of other goons. You gotta keep in mind, this wasn't Randy. You had Buzzy, rest in peace. You had a bunch of other goons coming out of First Ave. A whole bunch of other goons coming out of East River was like Brownsville houses back in them days. If you was in East River back in them days, that shit was like Brownsville. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say he never caught a body, but what I'm saying is he wasn't known for that. He was just known for running around with some terrible niggas. You know what I'm saying? And you know, dudes were scared of him. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Dudes were just scared of him. But the accolades always went to Randy Love. Like my man Randy Love Walker from Wash. A lot of dudes, Randy Love was the goon. Not just him, there was a bunch of other goons too running around. Merciless Ming and them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Merciless Ming. It's just that he ran with them. So it was like when you go, yo, and Pro smoked the nigga, yeah, Randy Love did that. That's Randy's shit. Yeah, Randy had them little niggas put some work in. Because that would have been the conversation. He had them young boys losing their mind. Because he's an older nigga than them niggas. Yo, he got them niggas wilding. But per se in the conversation, you know what I'm saying? Nobody sit there and go, yo, Poe killed Ed. He killed Mike. He killed Joe. Those wasn't conversations. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a conversation. And Randy Love got those accolades, just to let you know that. Like we can't tell you. Somebody on the east side can tell you who's the Spanish kid that Al Poe killed. Yeah, there's two of them. There's OG Randy Love, and there's Randy Love Walker from Washington Projects. That's the one that was dog walking the nigga on the block on first. That's my man Randy. But Randy Love, he basically gave him the name. When he said he gave him the love. He said, represent my name right. Because a lot of dudes want to be like Randy Love. Now, Randy Love for Washington Projects. Shout out to my man Cubby. Yeah, there's two Randy Loves. Randy Love Walker and there's Randy, the OG Randy. They both knew each other. Dudes go to First Ave just to stand around Randy Love. He was the goon, the goblin. Yeah, Randy, you know what I'm saying? Randy Love Walker, I got a video about him on my page. He grew up under him. A lot of dudes grew up under Randy. Randy was a goon. Buzzy and them niggas was goons. They was robbing and trying to extort big time hustlers. They wasn't playing with nobody. So of course they had young boys. They had the young boys jumping out the window. There wasn't Bloods and Crips back then. There wasn't none of that gang shit. You just had niggas that had soldiers, young boys, go crazy, get them. A lot of dudes want to be like Randy Love. Even the old cats that started kicking it like, yo man, my man Randy Love. It wasn't like, yeah, Poe was putting crazy work in. You know what I'm saying? It was Randy. I mean, all due respect to the work that Poe put in, but back to the DC organization. Just to give you some clarity. Randy Love Walker was outside. He had to pick up the dogs. Shout out to my man Mo from from First, from 100th Street. Shout out to my man, you know, rest in peace, JJ. Shout out to my man Chase. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have to know, you have to been outside for this shit. You know, Big Head E from Madison, Rod. Yeah, Buzzy got killed. His son is the one that got on the wall, the Crip. I got his son's name. The one that died, that they killed him, come out the liquor store, I mean, the pharmacy, that was his son. On 117th Street, Buzzy, yeah, he died. You know what I'm saying? He got killed over trying to extort some cats. Trying to extort some dudes, and they killed him. A young boy died in the mix of that. You know what I'm saying? Some shit that happened before that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely shout out to my dude. You know what I'm saying? First side was different. There had a lot of sticking kids come over first. So, boom. You get into the Outpour Organization, DC, the DC stories. I know you want to hear this shit. We're not dealing with slang, slander. It's just to be dope. Just follow the content. Starting tomorrow, we're doing the DC version of whatever. Any of your little bloggers that want to go against, it's not in the federal paperwork. Produce that. Produce that. You know what I'm saying? 2, before you is Little Gary, the property of New York State when it comes to the paperwork. That's because to close the case, you got to make a file. And that file can probably be received with the lawyer. Some of you dudes got lawyers that got money. Yo, we need the paperwork of Little Gary. Was he charged actually with Rich Porter's murder, even though he's deceased? Because being charged doesn't mean convicted. They probably closed the case because somebody said he killed him, right? So let's get it and let's go. With that being said, I appreciate y'all. Follow the content. Follow all weekend long. The Just Real Talk podcast is in the building. Don Paul's in the building. Billy Jean was good. Shout out to Troy Reed writing the book. You heard? And we're gonna get and we're gonna get there. We're getting there piece by piece. Definitely salute to Saladin out there, my man Rudy Lowe, and you know my man Smitty Blow Dollars out there. The 050 the 050 movement. They moving over there. They doing some good things. You know what I'm saying? Definitely good and positive vibes. Salute. You know what I'm saying? They got some. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's moving this weekend. Everything is moving. Anything. Shout out to my man Hassan Campbell. Shout out to 10 Toes Down. Shout out to Unique, Mecca Audio. Shout out. You know what I'm saying? Bang. That should have been the DC version. Right on that. You're right on the money with that. So I'm giving y'all the DC version. I'm giving y'all the DC version. With that being said, Zeke Black is giving y'all Martinez Organization, the DC version. 10 pages of it. Shout out to Troy Reed. I hope it was a good read. It's going to be another dirty YouTube weekend. With that being said, salute and I love y'all.